some exploring. Building something. Someone lives here. Good day and welcome to another Mostly Motion. Sorry for the wind noise in the background. We are in Vereniging, or Three Rivers to be exact, to test out a theory that I've had for a while. So about 2 years ago I bought my wife Megan a GWM, or Haval if you like that. It's the Haval H2, and that's a Chinese car. That's been a fantastic vehicle and we've really loved driving around with it. It's really been reliable and we have had no issues with it. Is it now time that we start buying Chinese dirt bikes? Well, it just so happens that we've got one right here, and that's a Motopro 300RR, and we're going to give that a spin today. We're going to see if it's worth buying. This one's got 53 hours on it, and it happens to be my brother's bike. 53.5 hours on it. So it's got quite a few interesting goodies on it that you wouldn't expect from a Chinese manufacturer. Not exactly. You got CNC billet wheels. You've got the CNC billet triple clamps as well on there. Some good rubber on there, and it's called a Motopro 300RR Enduro. You also get the 250 and the 450. Only 4 strokes at this stage. So it is carbureted, it's not fuel injected, and that's probably something that we're going to have to talk about, whether it's worth buying or not. But so far so good. This particular bike retails for 60 or 59,000 Rand 995, as close to 60 as you want to get it, and it comes with a whole bunch of extras: engine covers, clutch covers, comes with these hand guards, it comes with all sorts of extras, including a radiator fan and everything you might need to go and do enduro. So I'm not 100% convinced about the enduro part of that, but we're going to give it a shakedown today and see if it's worth having a Motopro Chinese dirt bike 4-stroke. Okay, here we go. Yaku knows the terrain here. That's my brother, by the way. I'll follow him around, and he's riding my KTM 202 stroke. I'm riding this big bad boy, the 300RR Motopro. Look, it's got a cable clutch, so that's probably not great, but I must say it's not bad at all. And if I have to be honest, the clutch pull is lighter than on my hydraulic clutch on my KTM. So yeah, that's interesting. First ride on the Motopro 300RR. Yeah. So this bike, I must say, has mooses front and rear, which I'm not used to. Gives a bit of a different feel. That's not bad. It's got some pull. It really does. Oh, engine braking. Now I'm a 2-stroke rider, so I'm not used to that. Just getting a feel for it. Woohoo! Yeah, this thing goes. Not bad at all. I mean, I was expecting a toy bike, but this is not a toy. This is a real full-size Chinese bike. I need to get used to the mooses and the feeling of it. Sure, we'll get there. Listen, I'm trying to figure out who this bike is meant for and who they are aiming the sales at. Engine braking. And I don't think it's for pro riders and people who can afford KTM 300 TPIs and 350s and so on. I'm just trying to figure out how it would do on the technical stuff, which I don't think is too bad because it's very predictable. And I'm not supposed to go there. Very predictable. Even if the steering feels a bit slow. But it picks up and goes, and the controls are really feel familiar. If you're used to a 2015 to 2017 KTM, I think this would be alright. I think this would be fine. It does feel stable in unfamiliar territory, and when you're trying to get it to go somewhere. Oh look, it's a squirrel. That's cool. And I don't know if it's just my riding style, but it does seem to favor the softer terrain. This is a slippery track they've got here. They've got fast ace suspension on here. It's a brand that I'm not familiar with, but as far as I understand, it's got they make suspensions for bicycles, and it seems to be doing all right. Doesn't feel terrible. I've never been worried about it or anything like that. It seems a bit harsh. That could also just be settings, because Yaku is a bit heavier than I am, and I'm just plowing fields here. But when you ask it to go, it goes. I'm actually quite surprised at the power of this, because reviews I've seen before says it's a little bit down on power. Maybe it is because I'm used to the 200. But it gets up and goes. Not at all bad. Woo-wee. Engine braking. Too many gears down. I do get the back end to lock up quite easily. And hey, listen, if you're taking bike advice from me, you've got a bigger problem than you think. Because I'm a novice rider at best. Woo, this thing goes, yeah. I like that 4-stroke linear power delivery of it, and it's really not too bad at all. I think maybe the suspension can do with some dialing. And I don't think it is going to be as good as you're going to find on a new KTM. But this is 60,000 Rand, 6-0, so brand new out of the box with a bunch of extras on it. So that is not too bad at all. Would I recommend this bike? I don't know yet. It seems to be reliable. It's easy to ride. If you're a first-time buyer, it's not going to intimidate the crap out of you. Although it does go, and it will jump a little bit, and it hangs its tails out quite nicely. This thing picks up and goes. I'm so impressed. Actually very impressed. The suspension feels harsh, but it does feel like it soaks up pretty well. And this is my first real ride on this bike. I've ridden it once before in unfamiliar territory, and it's slippery here. I mean, I suppose you can see, but I feel comfortable in it, and I think that's the point. Fast ace, suspension, can you sit? It's adjustable, yeah. I would soften it up, but I'm used to like more of an enduro setup, so end feels very planted and sort of predictable, which is very nice. It's a nice change up from the KTM 200. Oh, this thing is loud. Woo-wee. Now I must admit, I've seen a couple of other reviews of these bikes and people weren't disappointed by them at all. I suppose it's what you're used to. Okay, so top end high speed power, it seems like it's not going to scare you. It doesn't. If you're used to a KTM 200 two-stroke, I know my bike is quicker than the average two-stroke, but yeah, that's okay. Good power. To me, it feels like it pushes the front end a little bit into the corners. But like I said, I'm not used to a moose front end. A little bit of crackling happening behind me there, which is cool as well. I have no idea where I'm going at all. I don't think it matters. Front brake bites quite nicely. Let's do some exploring. Building something there. There's an old abandoned building. Someone lives here. Just messing around, and I think that's what this bike is meant for. Is it going to impress your seasoned racers? I don't know. If they keep the price point in mind, maybe. Do I believe you can buy a brand new bike for 60,000 Rand that feels like this? Oh, that's hard to believe. I think it'll jump. I don't think it's going to do motocross. Oh, maybe. Because the suspension's quite stiff, so I think it's set up more for that kind of style of riding, which I am unfamiliar with, by the way. Very unfamiliar with. But so far, so good. How heavy does it feel? Well, I'm spoiled. In terms of weight, I'm spoiled. I'm riding a 200 two-stroke KTM, which is some of the lightest bikes you can buy. It doesn't feel heavy though. It feels planted, which I suppose is due to some of its weight. It doesn't get as easily as airborne, and it doesn't want to steer the front wheel towards the moon, which is great. Man, I'm liking this track. Just wide open stuff. We don't get to do much of that. It feels like you've got to stay on the throttle more, obviously, than with the two-stroke, which is what I'm using as a reference, which is unfair. But it encourages you to get on the throttle, and the front end sort of settles in nicely, wiggles about for a little bit, and then this thing likes going wide open. It sort of feels like it wants you to do that. It's not lazy. I thought I was going to be the most surprised by the suspension, which is sort of okay. This thing's got a good grunt, pulls well. Loose end, the back end brakes loose predictably. Give it another chance to sort of just grunt up here. Yeah, That's better. Front end also felt more planted there. I think this thing wants technical stuff. Not that this is technical by any means, but gives you a taste. First gear, that engine brake comes on quite heavily, and it surprises me. I don't know if if you're used to 4 strokes, probably won't surprise you. The quicker you go, the better it feels. Okay, so in the interest of science, we're gonna have a drag race. That's the Motopro 300 RR with the guy who knows it best, my brother. And this is my KTM 200. 1, 2, 3, go! I got a better start. I'm gonna give him the hit. When he's ready, he's gonna go, and I'm gonna have to try and chase him down. Definitely catch up to him, but that was a better race. Okay. I think that settles it. I think that settles it. It's got this little key you gotta ignite there, and then it comes to life in front of you here. I must say it's been starting well the whole day. It is not in neutral. It's got a little neutral indicator there, which is quite cool. Fan, light, kill switch. It's got fold away levers, which is quite nice as well. That's pretty cool. And it's been starting the whole day. Don't let me down now. It's been starting very easily the whole day. Just press that button. That's pretty cool. So I'm gonna see, obviously this isn't technical terrain, this is nowhere near Enduro, but I'm gonna try and see if I can find the most technical bits that I can, and just give you a little bit of feedback of what it feels like. The front end does feel heavy and the bike feels heavier, but somehow it makes it feel more stable. This should be a good test then. First gear, no run up. That's steeper than it probably looks on the GoPro. And it will lug, yeah. Not too much, but it will lug. There's a boy with an Enduro bike in the front here. Thank you! But for stuff like this, for a day like this, for non-racers and people who aren't too serious about going too hectic, technical, I would say this is a pretty decent bike for the money, and so far it's proven to be reliable as well. But it loves this kind of stuff. It just soaks it up. Feels great over this stuff. Just so smooth. A carbureted 300 4-stroke in 2021 is probably a little bit backward as far as technology goes. We've got fuel injected 2-strokes for a couple of years already now, but it doesn't bother me, and that's going to make maintenance on this a lot easier, and it's going to make tuning it to your specific needs a lot easier as well. As far as I know, the engine is made by Zhongshan. They make like 2 million motorbike engines per year in China. Low RPMs. Will it go up this? It will. I think you have to ride the clutch a little bit more. This might just be me on the clutch. Seeing the tough stuff I stall it, you probably won't, but when you ask it, it does what you ask it to do. Oh, I think I'm starting to get it. Got to ride the clutch a bit, as you do with any bike in this situation. Are you going to be able to do hard enduro with it? I suppose it depends on how good of a rider you are. I won't be. I would prefer a two-stroke. So it might be a little misleading when they call it a 300 RR Enduro. I'm going to play around this sort of thing. Yeah, it'll do. It'll do just fine. It'll do well in most situations. But where it really shines is higher speed stability. Feels really good. Keep doing that. But that might be me. I'm just used to the two-stroke. If you're a four-stroke rider, you might be 100% okay. If I can do it without stalling. Oh, much better. There. Just right in on the clutch. Such a little bit. Makes a big difference. So in conclusion, after a full day of swapping back and forth between KTM 200, that KTM 200 and the Motopro, if you want a relatively cheap bike and you insist on buying new and you want something that's going to work, be reliable, be easy to sort of work on, do maintenance on, the Motopro is definitely worth a look. That bike is like 60 hours on after today. And he's told me, my brother has told me that he's not the biggest when it comes to maintenance. He's not really hectic on the maintenance stuff. And it just works. Just works. Just keeps going. He says after cleaning the air filter, it actually runs a lot better. Really doesn't feel bad at all. And now getting a perspective of the bike sitting behind it, it's got great traction. Never felt like, maybe under braking, that the rear end loo breaks away, but it's got great traction, feels good, runs well. And the most surprising part of that bike I thought was going to be the suspension. Suspension is okay. I suppose you can tune it to your liking. I saw there was a spot to do rebound and compression, so you can tune it to your liking. But the most surprising part is the engine. It really runs well, very torquey. Oh, probably focus on where I'm riding. Nice and torquey. I would have liked it to be a little bit more stall proof, but really not too bad at all. I like it, and I would recommend it. If you're looking for a bike, at least consider it. I know the guys from Motopro in South Africa are quite willing to give you a ride on it.